My 20th dad walked in on me having sex and now my parents won't talk to me. I'll try to keep this as short as possible. Just really looking for advice and other perspectives and who's right/wrong and why they're so mad. I'm not sure if this is relevant, but we weren't in the house. I have a sort of study area shed thing separate from the house and my boyfriend and I were in there. My dad walked in on my boyfriend and I, said what's going on here? Told my boyfriend to leave and then left. He came in a few minutes later and treated my boyfriend with a lot of aggression. I didn't feel too anxious or upset after he had walked in the first time, but seeing how he treated my boyfriend made me absolutely devastated. I went to bed and neither of my parents have spoken to me today. My mom shot me one glare, but apart from that, they haven't even acknowledged me. I usually have a very healthy and friendly relationship with them. I understand the awkwardness or the uncomfortableness, but why are they so angry? I'm 20 years old, I'm an adult. I'm more than willing to just talk about what happened. They know I'm sexually active, and if they were concerned about pregnancy or anything else, wouldn't they say that rather than treating me like I'm dirt because I had sex with my boyfriend? I'm not sure how to approach this with them, and I'm not sure why it's such a massive deal. I've resisted the urge to isolate myself in my room and I've stayed downstairs all day in hope that they'll talk to me, but no luck yet. What did I do to deserve the silent treatment? Like, I can't wrap my head around where their anger is coming from. They're not religious or very conservative, so I doubt it's anything to with purity or waiting until marriage, especially seeing as they know I've had sex before.
Kids are horrified when they find out their parents have sex. Parents are horrified that someone has defiled their baby. And baby wasn't fighting them off to save her honor. Yep. Even after marriage and kids, lol. Grandparents laugh and tell everyone. Usually in front of BFGF. Stories of all the places they had sex when they were young and how kids today lack imagination. Edit to add. Thank you so much for the award. Hugs. I'm sorry this happened. That really sucks. They might feel disrespected that you did it in their house. In a not completely private place. In essence, you put them in a position where they would walk in on you and they feel embarrassed and angry. Because you're growing up and all sorts of complicated feelings. It doesn't sound like they're able to verbalize that or even recognize what part of the situation angers them. I don't agree with this approach and am generally open about sex. Not in an obnoxious way but in a fact of life way, but I understand that this is not everyone's stance. It sounds like you're already being patient with them. They might just need some more time. Try to keep your cool when dealing with their immature silent treatment.
If and when you do speak, try not to tell them it isn't a big deal. Just validate what they're feeling and try to focus on moving forward with a solution. Good luck.
Being a parent, I understand their reaction, although I would have handled it differently. The feeling is shock and embarrassment, and they can potentially momentarily forget their baby is now an adult. I suggest you address the elephant in the room and remind them of your age and your right to choose. Maybe apologize that everyone got embarrassed, but it's a fact that you're not a child anymore. And maybe tell your dad that your boyfriend was not pressuring you to have sex or assaulting you, but that you're a willful participant. One big question I have though. I struggle to decide from the description whether dad was just around the area and stumbled onto the situation or whether he sought out the situation deliberately. Meaning, did he suspect you guys were together having sex somewhere and he intentionally looked for you in order to break it up? The latter is much worse in my opinion, and if so, he definitely considers you more like a teen than a responsible adult. You should address it with them. Perhaps you've reached a point where you need to give your parents and yourself some space. Consider how you might move out to your own place. Most importantly, When the discussion comes up, make sure they understand that any disrespect shown to your boyfriend will be taken as a direct affront to you. As you said, you're both adults, and you don't need your parents' permission to have sex. But if they don't want you doing it on their property, then you must respect that. Also, if this silent treatment continues, you're going to have to be the adult in the room and break it. Just ask them to talk with you, but have a plan to move out if you need it, because they could start throwing around some ultimatums. You're not their doormat. You're their adult daughter. Expect to be treated as such, or move out. I feel for you having to navigate such an awkward situation. I'll always be baffled by people who can't accept that their adult kids have sex. I, 43F, have a daughter of 19. I know she's sexually active and it doesn't bother me as long as she's safe, happy and not getting pregnant. I always knock on her door before barging into her room. I do this out of respect for her privacy, and it's something I do even if no one else is in her room, because that's how polite people do things. If I didn't knock and I walked in on her having sex, I'd apologize to her for breaching her privacy. Once kids become adults, I think that the parents of those adult kids need to remember that sex is a normal and healthy part of adult life, and young adults are just as entitled to enjoy that part of life as we are.
Yeah. A lock on the door if you are going to have sex is mandatory. At least a chain lock.
This generation is a funny one. Why are they so upset? Well, you're doing things they would be better off ignoring under their roof. Honestly, if they never walked in, their image of you would probably be different. But ultimately, witnessing something versus hearing the story are two totally different things. You can pretend one happened versus the other. Easier.
It sounds like they have rules about you not having sex in their house. Have they ever discussed this topic before? Have you ever asked to have your BF stay over and got denied? As a father, it's one thing to know that your daughter is sexually active. It's another to see that activity firsthand. Plus there's probably some of the "not in my house," or "if you're going to do it, I don't want to know about it, so hide it from me. But now I do know about it, and oh shit, that's my little girl he's bonking." Quote. It is of course best for you to talk to them directly, but these are a few things that they may be thinking. Not a parent, but I guess most parents hate to confront the idea of their kids having sex. Most parents still basically think of their offspring as basically children long into adulthood. That is just how it is.
Considered moving out?
Who knows? I certainly wouldn't want to walk in on my kids having sex. You probably should think about moving out. Consider that what they're feeling might not be simply anger. They probably have a whole mess of feelings going on and don't know what to do with those feelings, or how to approach talking with you about them. Give them some time. It sounds like it's not even been 24 hours yet. I'd also set aside the idea of right, wrong in this situation, as that will probably lead down a path of defensiveness and arguments on both sides. Parents or not, it's always feeling awkward to walk in on anyone having sex. Double that feeling when it's family. Honestly, this took me a long time to understand too. As a teen, my parents had no issues with me having girls over for nights on the weekend. But when I graduated and started paying them rent, I was no longer allowed to have women over for the night. I think a lot of it boils down to you can kind of ignore what you don't explicitly know or see. It's easy to convince yourself your daughter, I see this more in parents of girls, women than boys, isn't having sex, especially when it's under their roof. I can admit I'm a hypocrite about this. I had a lot of sex as a young man and I can fully admit I would be wildly uncomfortable if my daughter invited her BF over to study or something and I caught them plowing, and generally what makes people uncomfortable makes them angry. They'll get over it. A similar thing happened to me. It's just kind of the pure shock of it. And even though you're an adult, to your dad, you're his daughter and he still sees you in the same light he saw you when you were a little girl. Give it time to blow over. In a week. If it hasn't, gently bring it up to them if you want. I'd say something to both parents and tell them you want to have a sit down about it. Ask them if there is some reason you can't have sex in your own part of the house. I know it feels like yours, but it's their house. At 20, it's time to move out. If you can't, then just ask them what the rules are. Nothing is served by being quiet and letting things fester. This is probably just a matter of you having expectations. And them having different expectations. Align the expectations and everyone will know what to expect. Well, it would be weird as heck if you walked in on them. Tbh, it sounds like pure shock factor here. But what do I know? You're their child no matter what, and seeing that can't be easy. Just give them some time and space. Make sure boyfriend hangs back for a bit. For nothing else but respect. So they can get over their shock. They won't always be this way, but you're only 20. As 2 of my 4 are grown. I can say it goes fast for us. One day we're feeding you smushed carrots and the next you're all grown and can take care of yourself. They love you more than anything. Just give them a bit of time. Let them come to you. This will probably get lost among the comments, but I felt the need to answer this one as a father of a girl who is young but still, and is probably older than most commenters. Late 30s. Here. First of all, most people here are exaggerating this problem a lot. I doubt this is an issue to move out over, especially since you say they are good parents mostly. Okay, so I was raised. And I am guessing your father was too. In a generation where you was taught that having sex with a man's daughter under his roof behind his back after he was good enough to invite you into his home is very disrespectful. And I know that is very sexist and stupid, but like with religion, if you are taught to believe something from a young age, it's very difficult to get that mentality out of your head. Apart from that, no father ever wants to see his little girl having sex. You will probably never understand that fully unless it happens to you if you become a parent. And your dad shouldn't have treated your boyfriend that way, but it's a common thing to happen in this situation, and he will probably feel bad about it later. After a few days of awkwardness and an equally awkward talk, I am sure you will all get over this. I mean, a lot of parents see it as disrespectful for their kids to be having sex in their home. Granted, you said it was in a disconnected part of the home, but still. The glaring and silent treatment is mad childish, but I'd give it a few days and let them come to you. I'm sure it'll get brought up eventually and they'll explain why they're being like this. To me it's an overreaction, but who knows?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.